This is Susan from Hastings Cottage, and I'm going to do a tour of my newest journal I called Gathering Together. It's definitely vintage autumn, and this cover is a remnant of a upholstery fabric that I got. There's some sari silk tied through. It just goes through the two signatures. And it's pretty packed full with goodies. The cover is a photo that I scanned from a very old book that I have with some dupioni silk layered, some vintage lace layered, and some other fabrics down here at the bottom. And I stitched a button on the front and put this, just a little tab to hold it shut. And there's a little bit of yarn on the back. And inside, it's a quilt piece that I bought at a thrift store. There were like 8 of them in a bag, and I used this lightest colored one and tea-dyed it, and pretty much made a sandwich from the outside upholstery fabric, the quilt fabric, and then in between there's a stiffener. Excuse me. And it's stitched all the way around the edge. The first page is a tea-dyed and stiffened, I guess it's a dish towel, tea towel. I stiffened it using a 50%, 50-50 mixture of white glue and water, and it just gives it some nice body. Here at the front is my primitive style ex libris, where someone can write their name. I stitched on my book. And it's got this cute little altered paper clip there holding it on. And inside then there's a pocket. It has a big sheet of paper for journaling. This is scanned from something that was in my mom's kitchen, things that I've been going through. So that's pretty old. And there's a, whoops, sorry about that, tea-dyed or coffee-dyed envelope. Some nice tea-dyed papers with a stamp up here. The quintessential autumn cornucopia scene. And here's it was a big sheet of lined paper, so I folded over the edges, and that made a pocket. By stitching through at the middle and adding some fabric, it gives smaller tuck spots. There's lots of little things tucked in. This is from my mom's old recipe box. Some fabric along the top and this pretty trim. This is a picture I created with some ephemera that I have from a paper show that I bought a box of ephemera, and it's just this perfect, wonderful old stuff. There's some lace on the edge. There's another picture that I created using various old laces that I have and natural things. It looks so real, it's like you can almost touch it and pull it off the page. Little envelope tuck spot. There's another picture that I created, and another note sheet to journal on. So a little tuck spot. That's cardstock with this open weave. It's not really lace. It was actually a scarf that I bought at a thrift store for, I believe, like $1.50, and it's just the coolest fabric. I cut up, and it had these pieces on each end that I think just are wonderful. And that's a photo I took. Very few autumn leaves in Southern California, but I found some that were in a lake. I thought that was so pretty. There's some more tea-dyed paper with some dupioni silk on the edge that does a wonderful ravel. There, that picked up the impression of the lace over it really well. And here's a little altered paper clip, and inside's this really pretty picture. Some spot for journaling. More lace on the edge, and that's the scrapbook paper. And here's a thing that was different that I tried. It's a safety pin that I just put a little tag on, and then that just opens up like that for some secret journaling space. And then closes back up, and then the pin would go back in there. Old envelopes. And another little pocket. That's fabric, and it's been tea dyed. And this piece over here, this image, is one that a piece of fabric or tablecloth, I believe, that I scanned and printed. This is some vintage lace from a different thrift store. There's some great thrift store. I love good bargains. And there's a little tuck spot. Goes all the way through. This is fabric that I cut out the old clock face. That's from my mom's recipe box. And all the images that are in here are from my own ephemera box that I've been collecting. There's some lace to make a little pocket and another little tuck spot like that. And that one I just cut the page down to make it a little different shape. Isn't she adorable? That's from my mom's kitchen things. This fabric is from an old doll costume or dress. It's like the old original dotted Swiss, and it's layered over this beautiful orange fabric, and there's a little glassine bag inside. This little tag. That's a scan of the scarf fabric, so that's just printed. It looks so real, it's almost like you could pull it off. And that's an image that I created using the cards and some natural ingredients and the tablecloth. There again, it came out so real, it feels like you could pick the pieces up, and a piece of lace across the top. This is a old, I believe it was a big table, like a decorative thing that they would put under a lamp or something. So I just cut the corner. That made a pocket tuck spot. There you go, better methods of home laundering. And some more lace making a little tuck spot. Vintage lace and the tea-dyed paper. And there's some more dupioni silk on the edge. Lots of space for journaling in here. I love this one. That's also from my mom's kitchen things. And I did the pocket on the inside edge. I really like that. I'm going to do that again more often. That's just a tea-dyed envelope that I tore on an angle and stitched onto the page on the inside. Usually I put them in the outside corner. I kind of like having it on the inside. There's just a little bag with makes a tuck spot, and there's a old picture from another old book that I have. This one turned out so cool. That's tea dyed and then baked in the oven. You can see how the lines from the rack showed up, but the image just turned out great. There's another piece from that old scarf that I bought. I love these tassels hanging down, and that's an old picture that I had. More of the fall leaves and dupioni silk on the edge. Oops. I just love these two pictures. The Little girl with her rooster and the little boy on his big bike. Or tea dyed and baked in the oven. There's a page from an old book that I have. There's the other side of the picture that I created using all real things. This is from my front yard. That's from the front yard. There's another piece of that dotted silk from the doll costume. Makes into a little pocket. Another image that I made, as well as that one there. And this is the other half of that big sheet of lined paper where I folded over the edge and then stitched 3 places and added a piece of fabric, so that makes nice tuck spots. You could also just leave it open, but this way you can have some space for smaller things. A nice little tag collaged on with paper, various paper, and some little bit of lace. It's another image I have from an old book. And that's a scan. It looks like it'd be real, but it's a scan of lace and fabric that I layered. And some more dupioni silk on the edge. Here's the piece of sari silk that I tied between the 2 signatures and around the outside edge to hide the stitching and the cord that I used to tie the signatures in. There's another piece of that scarf, and this really neat old photo is layered onto cardstock so it would make a nice fold out. Hope you can see that. And for the hinge I used a piece of muslin, a strip actually that I cut, that my sister-in-law and I dyed with red wine. So that was fun. That turned out really neat. And here's another little tuck spot. Page out of a old book that I have. It just tucks in there. I'll put that in later. This is just some strips that I glued on. It goes all the way across to the other page, and it makes some nice tuck spots. So you could tuck many different things, even down here, a small space. And my sister-in-law showed me how to do this. This is some sort of a folding paper thing that she saw online. I wish I could credit the right person, but I don't know who it was. Anyway, it gives all these different tuck spots, and things can tuck in multiple different spaces. And it folds up and over the page, and that's the back side of it. So if you take off the clip, there's another tuck spot on the back. It just folds open. There's some pretty paper my sister-in-law gave me that's been tea dyed. There's some lace stitched at the top, and a pretty stamp, and a little fabric flip. This is just a brown envelope that I have that I used just as a page pretty much, with a little tuck spot. That's another book that I own. Little tag that's all been collaged and has a little piece of fabric and lace on the edge. Some lined space to write on the back, and that's a nice tuck spot. This is cardboard. There again, I saw some video online, and I wish I could remember who did it, but I'm sorry I don't. And I collaged using paper napkins and some piece of a book and music, and painted on the outside. There's some more dupioni silk. Oops. And this is a lace trim piece that I tea dyed, and I just glued it all the way along here so it makes a nice tuck spot for a big sheet of paper to journal on. That was from my mom's collection. And there's another little altar paper clip. And that folds out. And that's another old picture that was in a book that I have. And these are all books from the very early 1900s or late 1800s. And this I just folded the paper up and added some trim on there. That's the scan of that tablecloth that I have. There's another old picture. I love this one. Shine on Harvest Moon, and there's some of the lyrics. This is the center of the second signature. Just a little tag. And this is an envelope. It has a tuck spot there and a tuck spot there. And I put one of my pictures on it. And there's some old lace, and this is from the doll costume. And this is a little tuck spot that I make quite a few of these. They're folded paper. I'll do a separate video on how to do those. It's real simple. It just makes some neat tuck spots. And I used a brown and white gingham that I tea dyed and frayed the edges. And this is a piece of the scarf with the fringes hanging down. There's an old photo that I took of a Victorian house. And a neat old card. This is a piece of upholstery fabric, and it flips up, and then there's nice journaling space. This is something I've never done before. This is a strip of, it was hook and eye. This is the eye. And I used those little bulb clips and made these cute little envelopes that each have a picture in them. And oops, there it goes, I guess that way. And there's space to write on the back. And I think each one has a different picture. I don't remember. Yeah, that's a different picture. And a little fall leaf. So those are clipped on to that, and then this flips down, and there's more journaling space. I don't know if that's in the frame. So that goes that way. Here's another one of those little tuck spots that I make, and I'll do a video for that. And it's just got some little tags. Piece of fabric on there and a little stamp at the bottom. And this is the bottom edge of this thing that flips over. And here's the other half of that brown envelope that makes a great tuck spot for another picture. That's another one that I made. And some beautiful, gorgeous colored dupioni silk ruffle on the edge. That's the let me see, I think this one's, no, that one's still the red wine dye, I guess. It just looks a little browner. And this is just on the back side. Oh, here's my favorite, what do you call it, Roman shade. And that's held on by a clip. That opens up, and you can journal on the front or back. So that pulls all the way up, and then the little thing tucks in there. That holds it shut. Some lace on the edge and that pretty paper. This is a quilt that I have that's obviously been hand stitched, and I scanned it in and made a nice pocket. And here's a really pretty tag. A friend of mine gave me a set of these wooden decorative pieces that I stained so it would look old, and I put a ruffle on the edge, and there's some more of that fabric, and this is all decoupaged. And it tucks in there. Here's the other. It's just scrapbooking paper, but it makes lots of nice tuck spots that way. There's a really neat old picture. That opens up. That's some nice fabric on the back. And there's the, that one looks redder. That's the red wine piece of, now I'm going blank on what the kind of fabric that is, but that is fabric, and there's some nice different layers of lace and another fabric. There's an altered paper clip. That's another picture from a old book that I have. That comes off. It's just like that. And same here. That makes a nice, easy writing space to be able to take it out. That's just an altered paper clip up at the top that holds it in place. And here we are at the back of the book. There's my little tag and another space for journaling. Lots of space there to write on. And that's the pocket, and this is the tea-dyed and stiffened fabric, and that's the back of the book with the little tag on. And there we are, and I'm going to do some separate little videos. I'll make a note of them in the description box, and I sure appreciate you watching. Thank you. Bye.